And from that piece of information, from that little cutscene, I found the round travelled that distance in 34 milliseconds. Then it's just some very basic math extrapolating that out to find out how far it would travel over a second, and the result to that calculation is that the round travels 39,294.1 metres, or 39.29 kilometres, 39.3 kilometres.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally, my research has purpose! Installation 00, I come bringing research founded in literature and science. Allow me to elaborate. The number in your short here, 39,294 meters a second. It's actually pretty close to being lore accurate. If we compare this to the passage found in Halo, The Fall of Reach, chapter 12, page 133, the Mach bolt launched through space, a red-hot metal slug moving 30,000 meters per second. But here's the caveat to that. That's for the UNSC Commonwealth, a Paris-class frigate that would be one of the emergency batteries that the Mach-class ODP would attach with an umbilical. But it's still substantially faster than 30,000 meters per second. An extra 9,000 meters per second is no joke, but considering the extreme differences in velocity moving onto the Mach-Con's bigger, younger brother, the Erut class, which fires a 3,000-ton projectile at 4% the speed of light, and the UNSC Infinity fires at 25% the speed of light. Sorry to interrupt, I am here to make an addendum because I just looked at the Wikipedia page for the Erut class and someone changed it. It's now claimed to be 0.4 the speed of light, which translates over to 40% the speed of light. And that's not okay. A book can say something all it wants, but as I'm about to demonstrate, books can often be wrong and are wrong, especially if the Erut class is a pre-Infinity and pre-Forerunner technology integration weapons platform. But anyways, I digress. An orbital defense platform that only has a muzzle velocity of 40,000 meters per second, that has a Mach cannon the size of a frigate, and can use them to power that said Mach, seems kinda useless. Especially if the Mach guns found on frigates require several volleys to break through energy shielding. That extra 9,000 meters per second is far from being the terror of the Covenant fleet that these are known to be. So allow me to present to you this theory on a true muzzle velocity of a Mach-Con class ODP, and this is all going to be based on actual scientific data and logical assumptions based on a 400-year gap in technological advancements. I believe the UNSC Commonwealth's Mach velocity was a product of its time. We can assume Eric Newland picked a fast number like Mach 88 and went with it, which is not a problem. He's a sci-fi writer, not a physicist. But if we flip back a few pages from 133 to 130, the unrelenting appears about 3,000 kilometers out and begins rapidly approaching the Commonwealth, unlike the movie where the ship appears right over it. But we're gonna ignore the movie because everything in movies are always gonna be overdramatic. But now that creates an issue that no one really accounted for. 3,000 kilometers is really far, and were we to fire the Mach from 3,000 kilometers, it would have taken 90 seconds to reach that target. But this is assuming all the fluff like the calculating, aiming, and firing of archer missiles that were between now and the actual firing of the Mach cannons were completed beforehand, and needless to say, all those prerequisites were not completed. So let's say it takes roughly 5 minutes for the Covenant ship, the Unrelenting, to get to about 1,000 kilometers out. That would give the ship ample time to play out that entire sequence of calculating and firing missiles before firing the Mach. But even being 1,000 kilometers out, that still takes 30 seconds before the round actually splashes. For it to reach the target at a reasonable time frame, it had to be within 300 kilometers, which is about how far it was portrayed in the movie. But no ship would want to be that close, regardless if it was a Covenant ship or a UNSC ship, just like how no naval ship here on Earth wants to be within 5 kilometers of each other if at all possible. Range is the best defense for a big fat ship because it gives you time for you to GTFO before that round hits you. But something's gone terribly wrong if you're within point defense system range. And need I remind you, point defense systems are usually meant for smaller craft or missiles, not full capital ships. But in the book and gameplay, a Mach is depicted as a hit scan. None of this waiting 30 seconds for a round to connect BS. maybe 5 seconds tops. So I am here to propose to you that the muzzle velocity for a light Mach is somewhere around 1 million meters per second. That translates over to 1/3% of the speed of light, or 1,000 kilometers per second. So if it were to be fired about 3,000 kilometers out, it would still take about 3 seconds for the round to hit. And 3 seconds may not sound like a lot, but for a nimble ship, that should be a pretty adequate amount of time to dodge. That's provided the captain or the shipmaster has the reaction speed to do that, but hey, anything's possible, right? This gives the kinetic energy yield to be 71 megatons of TNT, which is the perfect sweet spot between not super weak, but also something that you need to actually worry about. After all, a 30,000 ton slug moving at 4% the speed of light is 52 gigatons, and that's not accounting for the Lorentz factor either. So the power scaling just makes way more sense this way, especially if a Covenant ship are supposed to take megatons of TNT from Shiva-class nuclear warheads. More on the nuke stuff another day though, that's its own rabbit hole. Now you might be wondering to yourself, what did any of that have to do with the Montcalm class ODPs? Well, like I said earlier, no reason an orbital defense platform that dedicates almost everything to the big stick should be only firing about 40,000 meters per second, especially if its bigger younger brothers is exceeding that by a 29,000% increase in velocity. So since the Montcalm class is about 1/3 the size of an Urut class, let's pick a reasonable velocity based on the size and energy dedicated to the max. It would be easy to just scale down the velocity by 2/3 and say it's 1% the speed of light, which is still a massive improvement. But since it's a dedicated weapons platform, instead of being a ship that has to power engines and the rest of the ship systems, let's say it can reach 2% the speed of light, which is a substantially more devastating threat. And judging by the size found in Halo 2, we can assume it fires a 1,000 ton slug at 2% the speed of light, which if we do the math, excluding the Lorentz factor, it'll come out to 4.3 gigatons of TNT, which fits nicely between a cosmic horror that is their root class 52 gigatons of energy and a smaller 71 megatons of energy from a light coil. This also helps make Covenant ships feel far more terrifying in the grand scheme of things, being able to absorb megatons and megatons of kinetic energy. But it also makes the orbital defense platforms some of the most cosmically horrifying pieces of technology I've ever looked into. That cosmic horror is what inspired me to learn how to do all this math to calculate the nonsense. By the way, the UNSC Infinity firing a similarly sized projectile at 25% the speed of light results in a 2 teraton impact. 2 teratons is also one of the numbers that scientists predicted to be the kinetic energy imparted by the Chicxulub event, and if that name doesn't sound familiar, that is the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. So mathematically and based on lore, I believe the answer you are looking for, Mr. Installation 001, is 4.3 gigatons, which is way cooler than a measly explosion in the kilotons. There's way more moving parts to this than just kinetic energy equals big boom, which is way outside of the scope of this video, but hopefully this can help fill in the really annoying gaps in the lore, or at least give you a more logical answer to it. But if it wasn't obvious, no ill will towards Mr. 00 here. Far from it. Him and a few other YouTubers are what kinda inspired me to go on this journey, so hopefully I can repay that favor by just doing some of the really annoying math for you. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I probably wouldn't really be inspired to do this if you guys didn't keep coming back. So if you really want the bigger picture for what a Mach gun can really do, throw me a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Oh my god, I've been pronouncing Moncton as Montcalm this entire time.